Touchdown, Pittsburgh!
Touchdown, Washington!
What's going on, boys and girls? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Steel Skin Show, a show hosted by one diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan and one diehard Washington Redskins fan, from game recaps, game previews, news headlines, analysis, opinions, and all kinds of other stuff. We have got you covered on all things Pittsburgh Steelers and Washington Redskins. My name is Patrick, and I'm the voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers here on the Steel Skin Show.
You okay?
Sorry, I kind of lost myself there.
All right, I'm Chris, the calm voice of the Washington Redskins.
Well, hey, I'm just feel like I'm speaking for most Steelers fans after this, this win we had, this quote-unquote win. I feel like I'm just, matching the mood. Chris, we are coming to everybody on a Tuesday today. We do apologize for that. Would have done the show yesterday, but I only partially apologize for doing the show Tuesday. How about that? How you like that one? Is that Star Wars? Was that Star Wars 8 trailer?
No, it's one of the funniest videos I've ever seen.
Oh, is that crazy commercial where the dude is on the moon and then he farts and then, like, the beast fights? It's a great commercial.
Dude, that is phenomenal.
It is an amazing commercial.
Okay, well, I'm going to lead this off, okay?
Okay, on that.
And I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to go ahead and just out with it.
I like how you just took the spotlight. Like, go for it, dude.
I mean,
just go.
I was thoroughly bummed at the eclipse.
Well,
I mean, I don't even think. I think it's darker when thunderstorms come.
Okay, question. Where did you watch the eclipse
Well,
from?
from here.
Okay. See,
I mean, I didn't go to Sumter.
I took it
I
on.
didn't go to the narrow band.
I went to the path of
You did.
totality. Did that not sound like something out of a cult or something,
Yeah.
man? It was like, will you experience the path of totality? And I'm just like, whoa, this is weird. But yeah, we went down to Sumter, South Carolina yesterday, which is one of the cities that was in the path of totality.
Right.
And dude, we got it was cool. I mean, for us, it was cool. It got dark.
I mean, okay, so part of it was cool.
Yeah.
Because the run-up was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Because I made the box you put your head in with the reflector in the back.
Bro, you didn't have glasses?
No. Let me just finish.
Okay.
All right. I could show you the pictures real quick.
All right.
Of me and your nephew Alex and your
Shout out, Alex.
nephew Chet. There's Chet
Whoa.
with the head in his, but he had his face in the box. And then there's both of us and our faces in the box.
Okay, so explain to me the box concept. How does that work?
Okay.
I've never understood, like, you can make a box. I'm like, but how does it work?
So here's what you did. You took a box.
Okay.
And on one end, well, you cut a hole out for your head to go in.
Right.
Okay. And on one end, you put like a white surface, white piece of paper, white something.
Okay.
And on the other end, you cut a square out and put foil and just punched a little hole, the little pinhole.
Yeah.
And then you inserted your head into the box with and this was important because you did not want that sun ray shining in through the foil on your head.
Yeah.
So you had to aim your head to where the sunlight shone through the pinhole, which then projected an image on the white surface, and then you watch the eclipse happen through that image. Okay? Now, we were doing that. Okay, so we're doing this, okay?
Question, did it work?
Yeah. You started with the sun, and then the shadow began to cross it.
All right.
Okay.
It's kind of cool.
All right, so there's a dude there's a dude on this job
All right.
that we were on who I'm not even going to tell you his name because somebody might know him. But my man was so pumped for the eclipse. And he brought these welding glasses. And I put the welding glasses on, and pretty quick you realized, dude, that's not going to be enough. No, sir. That's not going to be enough. Then he got in his head, he would strap on his sunglasses and the welding glasses. Well, when you put that on, it was like 6 different images floating around out there. And you had to pick which one maybe looked like the eclipse. Maybe.
Yeah.
So Alex and I returned to our faces in the box to see what was going on. Well,
Yeah.
thankfully, my wife and son drove up and had a pair of glasses.
Okay, I was about to say, dude, the glasses were cheap. They were...
So we watched it through the glasses, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was cool because, you know, once it was going on, once it was full, you know, you could be right there in the sun and not really feel heat.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like somebody had turned the phone down.
It was like sliding the brightness on your phone way
it was like
down.
sliding it down, and that's about how dark it got. But I kept thinking, when I was a kid back in like 84, it was a whole lot darker than this one. Now maybe the time of day that one happened, you know, this one happened at the heat, at the height.
About 2:40 in the afternoon.
Yes, I mean, for North Carolina, that's the height of the heat. That's when the sun's almost at its highest
Especially
point.
in the month of August.
Yeah, so maybe the time of day when I was a kid, it made it different.
Yeah. No, wait. You had one in when? 80 something?
We had like a partial in 84. There was one in 79.
79 was the big like total.
Yes,
yeah.
But there was something went on around 84, 83, 84, and our teacher wouldn't let us outside. So we had to just content ourselves with looking at the shadows and a plate.
Out of curiosity, I really just want to experience like the box thing. It just sounds wild to me, dude.
Dude, every Mexican on that job put his head in the box. We had to throw the boxes away. They were pretty. I think 50 dudes on that job site tried that box.
Yeah.
So by the time it was over, but it was kind of cool because the Mexican guys. They didn't speak a lot of English, but they want to know what you were doing. So you were trying to fix it where they
they were like these dumb Americans.
They were trying to figure out what in the world these guys walking around with boxes on their heads for. And so that was kind of cool because we know a lot of them. Even though we don't have a great language, rapport with each other, we know each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, we're kind of chilling and we're trying to explain, hey, you put this on your head and you let the sun, and then one guy kept trying to face the sun. And we're like, Juan, you can't do this. You're gonna fry your eyes.
So you I actually like your eclipse experience better than mine.
We had a ball with it.
Oh, it sounds like
the aftermath was just like.
Do you mind hitting the ceiling fan real quick? I'm about to fry in here.
Alex and I just began to think about what was darker. Thunderstorms are darker. I mean, I came outside today and the sun was behind a big cloud, and I looked at Alex and said, "You know what? I think it's darker out here than it was."
Basically, the solar eclipse. Yeah.
It wasn't like dark; it was like hazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, down because, like I said, we went down to one of the cities that got it, and it got dark. Now, even then, I would still say it was maybe pretty far into dusk. It didn't get like pitch
it wasn't
black.
Like midnight night.
No. But it did get really, really dark, dude. And just I think that period of time between 2:40 and 2:44 was the official time that it started. Just that time, man, the lead up was so cool. It got darker and darker and darker, and then everybody screamed because we were at like a big park, and I think it was Dillon Park in Sumter. Like 1,000 people were there. Everybody screamed like you're at a football stadium whenever it like fully eclipsed. It was a cool experience. It was. Pretty...
when I first heard you were going, I was like, we're gonna have 96.5% coverage here.
Apparently that made a difference.
Let me tell you something. It made a huge difference. It made a huge difference.
Well, and here's the disappointing part. I did not come back with a picture. Now, I have a quick story to tell you if you don't mind. So one of the doctors at work, because I work at a clinic, and one of the doctors, I showed him this picture I got. He's like, I actually have something better. He said, I took a video. He said, I have special equipment. He was down at Charleston watching it. I'm just like, oh, well, doctor, your equipment, okay. So he's like, as soon as I get a little bit of free time, he's like, you want to come watch it? I'm like, well, sure. I'd love to see your fancy equipment and your
great
see what
video. You got.
Well, it turns out it was a spoof. The dude, he did go to Charleston, but he shows me the video, and he's holding it up like at the sun, and he takes an Eclipse chewing gum box, slides it in front of the phone onto the sun, and I was just like, I love my job, I love you, I love everybody. Because I'm thinking, oh man, he's got like a crazy DSLR and his special lens, and this joker's gonna video the whole thing, and then he does that.
What was funny is the dude that had
I couldn't kill him because he kind of pays my bills,
pays your
so
bill.
I can't really get that mad at him. But yeah.
Well, the dude that had the welding glasses, I think it was you had to have 14s on your shield.
Yeah.
And most are between 8 and 9. I'm pretty sure this dude's was like a 6. I'm not sure what kind of welding glasses he got, but anyway, so he was out there, oohing and ahhing and looking up, and I'm like, dude, there's no way this guy's coming out with any eyes. But then when Chet and Sarah came with the real glasses, he put those on. Oh my goodness, look at this! He was just like, and so then by the time the glasses got passed around, they were oozing with sweat, about to fall, about to disintegrate.
Like, it was disgusting.
It was. There's like this fine ripple. But our boxes had begun to have the same thing. I'm pretty sure breath had got caught in there. As you put your head in the box, can't do this anymore.
Oh, man.
So we threw the boxes away. Somebody said, you going to keep the boxes?
No.
No. They serve their purpose. It's kind of like a porta-john. You keep it for a little bit, then you
get rid of it. These things are not reusable.
No, we're not. It's not going to go up in a place of honor in the house. But
I like your experience, though, man. So, it sounds like you had a great eclipse.
We had a good time. I think the run up to it and kind of while it was happening, but when the aftermath in terms when you look back, I just don't think.
Yeah.
It just didn't get dark enough to where you maybe felt like
your life had been changed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
Yeah. Well, see, we did kind of have that. You saw some planets, like you saw like the
saying.
bluish
you
halo around it.
Yeah,
it was cool.
You saw planets at 3:00 in the afternoon.
It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. Anyway, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
When science calls, we will cancel our podcast, everybody. Chris, why don't we start with you today, man? Okay, so your Redskins are now 0-2 in the preseason. Okay, bad, terrible, all that stuff. However, now you're the Redskin fan, so I'll turn the floor over to you. I watched the game too. I went back on Game Pass and checked you guys out. Personally, I thought there was a lot more here to be happy with than maybe preseason game number 1. That's just me, but hey, I'm just a Steelers fan who checked his phone a lot while I was watching it, so I'll turn the floor over to you now. What did you think about preseason game number 2 against the Green Bay Packers?
I thought it stunk. Well, I'll just, the big elephant in the room right now is the running game. It's just not good. And I think
is it too early to say that, though?
It's not too early to say that through 2 games it's been terrible.
Yeah.
We're averaging 2.6 yards a carry. And it's 2.6 yards a carry on what you would consider sort of bread and butter type run plays.
Right.
We still have just breakdowns. It's usually 1 or 2 guys, and the whole play just disintegrates.
Yeah.
Now, if you sort of wade beyond that, it took 4 possessions, I think, for the Redskins got their first down. So
sounds a lot like our game.
That was disappointing. But again, a lot of that was tied to we had 2 third down penalties early in those drives that took third manageables and made them third and almost impossibles.
Right.
I thought that pass pro-wise, we were solid. We got a gift early with a turnover on special teams. We turned that into it was sort of like Groundhog Day. It was like watching a game from last year. We couldn't score from the red zone. Yeah. It just made it difficult. But again, and I'll kind of step through the red zone possessions, but the first throw that Kirk made in the red zone to Vernon Davis was a fade. It was a fade. He left it a little bit flat.
Yeah.
And gave the defender time to catch up and make a play on the ball.
Don't you hate? I don't know. I have never been a fan of that play call in the red zone. I hate back fades. I hate them.
I do too. It feels like kind of a give-up play, but I think we're going to see a lot of them this year.
Well, they're so predictable.
Really
There's no way as a defense in 2017 that you don't know, hey, they might throw to this guy in the back of the end zone.
Probably going to go fade versus press. They're going to look for the single coverage, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So that one, that red zone possession was kind of, after that was just sort of, I think Kirk got flushed, kind of left the pocket maybe a little sooner than he had to, ended up throwing in the flat, just kind of uninspired possession there. But I think the Redskins were trying, to make a score, let's get in the end zone quickly, let's don't run on first down, let's just put it in the end zone, let's get a score and, see how we do, see what happens. But anyway, the first half continued, and it was painful until the final possession of the first half for the Redskins, and they went down and they scored. Now, we scored. I mean, there was no other way. This was bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, down to your last pitch. 17 seconds to go. It's 4th and goal, and we finally find Jamison Crowder on a nice throw and a nice route for the touchdown. And I kept thinking, there's no way Jay Gruden was walking off the field without at least fighting for a touchdown. That he had to have that touchdown, but they really needed it. Kirk has come under some scrutiny in this game for some stuff he missed. Couple of the observations by some of the film breakdown junkies I feel like are kind of petty, but a couple of them aren't. He missed a wide open Jamison Crowder on a deep cross. No way he should miss that. He had 2 dimes on wheel routes, one to Chris Thompson, one to Vernon Davis on that final drive. They were beautiful. And I thought he had some nice throws in between. Nice slant to Josh Dotson to put him in the red zone there. He did have kind of a nice improvised get it out to the flat to Chris Thompson. This was not a great, when you compare it to the work that Aaron Rodgers put in that game.
Yeah.
It just very efficient, move down the field, score a touchdown, and you get to go sit down.
Right.
So I think that in this game, unfortunately, there was a lot of fodder there for people to say, hey, it's the same old thing. We're getting off to bad starts. We're not running the ball effectively. Kurt's missing people. I don't know, folks. I kind of want to see a game plan, before I make these. I want to see a game, a.k.a. the first game against the Eagles.
Right.
When we've got Jordan Reed back, when we've got the receivers,
Yeah,
everybody's there. I'm a whole lot more concerned about the running game than I am the pass game. Let's just say it like that.
Let's talk about that for a second.
What I'm concerned about in the run game is they're losing individual battles. Sean Laval got pushed back several times.
Okay, so what you just said is important, because what I was going to ask is it more of the running backs or is it run blocking?
Most of the time, Rob Kelly never had a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I was watching 2014 all over again when Alf was just getting toasted, but he was getting guys in his face within, on his side of the line of scrimmage in that year. And, I feel a little bit like it was that all over again. It was just sort of a fight with that first unit. Our most productive runner so far with the first unit has been Chris Thompson.
Yeah.
I think he, and obviously he brings a completely different dynamic, because when he comes in, most defenses are thinking pass.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. I know a lot of people were kind of hammering on Rob Kelly. He's not a dynamic back. He's not this. He's not that. He just didn't have a lot of holes to run in. I mean, he didn't. You go back and look at it. I love Niles Paul. He had a couple of real bad whiffs.
Yeah.
So I hate to even, single him out. But here's how I look at it. I know Chris Cooley brought up to Jay Gruden, and this is the last thing I'll say about the Redskins run game. And he asked Jay Gruden, "Are y'all trying to do too much?" In other words, you have zone concepts, you have inside zone, outside zone. You have a power concept, which is called duo, where you're trying to work a double team to the second level. Then you've got your counters, you've got pulls, trap plays, and I thought Jay's answer was pretty good. And that's basically, look, these are standard running concepts. We're not doing anything, that basically anybody else doesn't have in their repertoire.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is something that I remember you said, I feel like many times last season when we were doing some of these Redskin game recaps is, you felt, look, we all know that the Redskins are a pass-first offense. That's a very important point to make. But one of the things that you always said is that when we're running the football, I don't feel like there's much of a goal. Like, there's really no end game. It's like, hey, we'll do it to do it every now and then. Do you feel like we're still kind of in that rut, possibly?
Well, I think there is. What I was going to say is I don't think there's anything wrong with the concepts that the Redskins are trying to run.
Right.
Because I think most teams, with the exception of maybe the strict zone teams, like the zone schemes like the Shanahans run.
Right.
But I do think, Jay Gruden is at best a 60-40 run pass. He's probably more 65-35.
Yeah.
And that seeps into a team's mentality. I mean, it just does.
Yeah.
And I can remember something very quickly. I'll just get through this very quickly. But I remember something in 2005. The Redskins, Joe Gibbs showed up in 2004, and he got railed on because he had this antiquated offense that he was running supposedly in 2004. And then in 2005, they made some tweaks to the pass game. They won their final 5 games, made it to the playoffs, and, Clinton Portis toted that team on his back. I mean, they were a power run team, deep pass, and the next year they brought in Al Saunders as their offensive coordinator. And one of the problems, and I can't remember which Redskins said this, and I think it may have been Portis or one of the offensive linemen, but he said one of the things they were disappointed in is they bought in so hard to the physical aspects of what Joe Gibbs wanted.
Right.
They bought in hard that the way you win is to pound a team, destroy them up front. That Al Saunders had a completely different philosophy, and it was so hard for them to re-buy into another concept.
So you think we're possibly still reeling from...
No. I'm just saying what you teach a team does seep into their psyche.
Sure.
So
I agree.
What I'm saying is the Redskins are a pass-first football team. And I don't think Jay Gruden's ever going to be the kind of guy. I think he would love to have this physical, in my 35% of runs, I want to dominate.
Yeah.
But that's tough to do.
Yeah.
That is tough to do. And the fact of the matter is this. Rob Kelly, whether it's Samaje Perine, none of those two guys are not going to be David Johnsons or Le'Veon Bells, where
right, that's a good point.
I can make you miss and get 5 to 10 more yards. They're going to need a hole.
Right.
They're going to need a crease. Then they can work from that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would say this. I don't know. Maybe Callahan and Gruden and the offensive game planners can sit down and look and say, hey, maybe we need to cut down just because we're not running everything good. And maybe let's accentuate what we feel like we do good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just not sure we're ever going to be a great run team under Gruden.
Do you think the other problem that the Redskins might have is that you guys really don't have, in a lot of ways, and maybe you'll disagree, I don't feel like you guys have a true number one back. I feel like we're going to get some Chris Thompson for certain things. We'll get some Rob Kelly for other things. Obviously, Samaje Perine, we're going to get him involved. Do you feel like there's something to be said for having an established running back?
Well, I'm always of that model.
Right.
I'm old school. I love the 25 carry back.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that is a dying breed in the NFL, but I do.
Hey, yeah.
The Redskins under Gruden have always tended to be a lot more of a running back by committee type of thing, and I don't know. Sometimes that's a good thing. I think sometimes it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's something to continue to watch, and it'll be interesting to see if it continues through the season, and we can all look back and say, "Hey, we were right.
Yeah,
we had a right to be worried." But again, not really worried about the pass offense. I'm not worried about our offense as a whole.
Sure.
We did lose Spencer Long. He underwent a scope today. He'll be out 2 to 3 weeks, which means Chase Roulier steps in. That's going to be interesting these next 2 games, especially against Cincinnati. Very active front four.
Yeah.
How he did for a rookie to get thrown in is going to be very interesting to watch. I thought defensively, I'm still very happy with where we're at in the run game. I'm very happy with the work we did. Most of the big plays in fact, all the big run plays that Green Bay got were by the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I thought the Redskins learned a valuable lesson when we got called for the 12 men on the field. We had Green Bay in a 3-and-out situation.
Yeah, those are frustrating penalties.
And you just can't loaf off the field with Aaron Rodgers. He'll eat you up, and he did. He gets the 12-man penalty, and they did not handle that very well. Most of the passes were defended fairly well. It's just a matter of Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, yeah.
I did think again, I was very happy with how Jonathan Allen played. Ryan Anderson sat. I was very happy with how Preston Smith played. I thought he was very active when he was in there. Love the way Matt Ioannidis continues to play.
Yep.
I don't know how you keep this guy off the roster.
Yeah.
I really don't. As far as the backfield goes, Fabian Moreau, folks, is going to be the real deal.
Yeah,
He's
going
to be the real deal. I had no problem even with the long reception that he gave up. It was solid coverage. Got his head around. It was so nice to see a defender get his head around and be in a position to maybe make a play on a football.
Yeah, I just feel like, man, this is a guy who, if he's 100% healthy, can just do some scary stuff.
Yeah, and
I was very high on him coming out of the draft.
Well, you were dead on because this guy is going to be a good one.
Yep.
Let's see, who else did I like? Continue to love the way Phil Taylor looks.
Phil Taylor looks good, yeah.
Joey Mboo had a couple of nice plays. I think it's going to be tough for him to make the team, as well as Phil Taylor is playing.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a work in progress defensively, but I've been very happy so far with what I've seen up front, the physicality.
I think there's been a clear difference so far.
And again, it's easy to say that because it's preseason.
Sure, but
at least I have seen a little bit of, at least through these two games, they seem to be backing up what their coach talked about, and that is, hey, we are going to stop the run. We're going to try to win the line of scrimmage. I think the Redskins ended up with like 4 sacks in this game. I thought the pressure was decent.
Yeah.
So again, I don't get caught up in wins and losses. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't get caught up in the wins and losses part of it. Colt McCoy looked much better in this game than he did the second game. Nate Sudfeld looked pretty bad in this game, just like he did in the first game.
Nuh-uh.
He
looked
did.
good.
No, he didn't.
Start him.
Don't at me. So again, we're still looking for that game where we can all sigh and say, you know what? Yep, we're ready.
Sit back.
Bring on the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have not had that moment yet. I would love to say we're going to have that Sunday against Cincinnati, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But again, still not going to panic.
Yeah.
I do think there is a thread of concern with the run game, but again, folks, it's preseason.
Yeah.
So
chill out, everybody. Chill out.
So that's all I've got.
Okay.
So what about you guys? You guys beat?
We beat the Atlanta Falcons.
Now your starters lost to their starters.
Yeah.
Essentially.
That's actually a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
It was one of those weird games where you realize that the reason we won was because mainly the guys who are going to be unemployed here in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? It was kind of one of those things that's like, you wish your first team guys would have played better. But we'll obviously start with the defense today. So obviously this should go without saying. # just the preseason. Keep your pants on. Don't lose sleep, all that good stuff. But I'm not going to not point out the performance of the first team defense yesterday. Talking mainly about the secondary more than anything. It was bad. I really don't know how else to say it. Just got a really bad case of deja vu. It was like watching the AFC Championship game all over again. To the New England Patriots.
Oh, no.
Way too much space out there in the open field, mainly over the middle, which was very, very concerning to me. Players not lined up where they needed to be. More than a couple of times before snaps, you would see players looking around at each other, players talking right before the snaps, trying to communicate, trying to figure out what was going on. This defense just looked lost at times. And again, it came from the first team. The only starter who was not playing in the secondary, folks, was Mike Mitchell. And I personally felt like his presence was missed at times. Dave Bryan of SteelersDepot.com wrote a good article after the game talking about Mitchell's absence, basically saying that, you felt his absence because of these big plays that the Falcons had over the middle. Mike Mitchell has flaws in his game. We've talked about that on the show many times, but Teams are scared to go over the middle when Mike Mitchell's in the game because this dude will lay you out. This dude loves to cross the middle of the field for an interception or
does.
to
He's
knock he will knock the ball out to cause a fumble, or he'll just like to take your head off every now and then. So I did feel like there were times where you definitely could feel his absence, but Mitchell is one guy. You still had all your other first-team guys out there on the field. Falcons' first offensive drive, really just indicative of how the day went for the first-team secondary. Matt Ryan takes the Falcons down to the end zone, 10 plays, 91 yards. 10 plays, 91 yards, folks. Goes 4 of 6 on that drive for 57 yards. Then comes Matt Sims. Matt Ryan wasn't the only one who carved up the secondary. Matt Sims comes into the game. And if you want evidence of how the secondary performed, folks, look no further than the Falcons' receiving stats. All Falcons receivers combined had 22 catches for 289 yards with an average of 13.1 yards per catch. Tackling, more shades of last year. There were plenty of times in this game where the Falcons got a decent amount of yak because the Steelers just failed to make some really easy tackles. So that was frustrating. Third downs, more shades of last year, everybody. The Steelers' D just could not get off the field on some of these third down situations, man. And that in turn wears the defense down. It also allows the other team to dominate the time of possession, which is exactly what the Falcons did in this game. I think they dominated the time possession by like 12 minutes, which was something obscene like that. So look, I'm not going to overanalyze this to the max, but here's the bottom line. It's preseason, and if there's a place you want your defense to screw up, it is the preseason. So I'm not going to lose sleep over this. But these mistakes did come from the first-team guys. And even though this defense does appear to be moving in the right direction, there are still some things that we do need to work on. There's still some hiccup. I mean, there's still a lot of hiccups I'm seeing that we saw last year. Communication issues, tackling issues, being lined up properly. And I'll tell you another thing that I think the Steelers struggle with. And maybe this is something that all defenses struggle with, but these offenses that are extremely talented and very athletic, in other words, take a Falcons offense, take a Patriots offense, an offense that uses a lot of 5 wide receiver sets that spread you all over the football field. This is something that I feel like the Steelers have struggled with for a very long time. These styles of offenses that are quick, that spread you out, use a lot of different sets. It's just something we've struggled with for a while. So that's something I feel like we need to work on. But look, I will say this. There is a part of me that is grateful this happened. And here's why. The Steelers' defense has been a little cocky this offseason. A lot of players talking about, oh, yeah, we made the necessary adjustments. We're going to be, one player said we're a Super Bowl caliber defense going into this season. Yeah. Other players talking about, oh, yeah, we've corrected every mistake we made last season. And so there's a part of me that's a little bit grateful for this game.
And
say, hey, boys.
Don't you think coaches kind of are, too, in one way?
Sure.
I mean, if you feel like, if I'm a coach and I feel like some guys are maybe getting ahead of themselves a little bit.
Yeah, you want them to get torched just a little bit.
It's kind of nice to be able to look at the film that next morning and say, hey, what happened here, pal?
Come back down down from the cloud, folks. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a part of me that is a little happy about that. But look, is there plenty of time to fix these mistakes? Yes. Is the sky falling? No. But there were some troubling things from this first-team defense. Just want to point that out. But it was not all terrible for the Steelers' defense. There were several players who did have some good games and did have some nice things. We'll start with Anthony Chickillo, 2017 preseason debut for him. 2 sacks on the day. He looked really good, really quick off the line of scrimmage. I really liked his effort. Looked really fast and explosive off the line of scrimmage. He just looked fresh. He looked really fresh, and he looked ready to go. Good game for him. Also led the Steelers in tackles, by the way, so really productive game for him. Chris, how about my boy, Mr. Jordan Dangerfield? 2 interceptions on the day for him. And here's what I hope everybody learned in this game. Folks, Jordan Dangerfield has always sort of been thought of as play-in-the-box type of safety. He's just going to be your box type of safety. He'll affect the line of scrimmage. He's solid against the run. What Dangerfield showed me in this game and what I hope he showed everybody else, this man can cover. Jordan Dangerfield can get out there and cover. The Steelers used him in man-to-man coverage this time around. We saw him play some single high safety in this game.
Which that's huge, man, because in this day and age, it's no longer sometimes strong and free safeties have to.
Oh, you got to do it. You got to do it all. You got to do it all. Yeah.
So if you can get a guy that's good in the box plus good in coverage,
yeah,
That's not easy to find.
And it's exciting because, look, I feel like I've been singing the praises of Dangerfield for a long time. I feel like everybody's always considered him as a special teams guy, kind of a box safety. Folks, I think Dangerfield brings a lot more to the table than people realize. Now, obviously, we already know he's making the 53-man roster. His chances of getting on the field and getting actual snaps, those might be a little lower. If you're Keith Butler, I hope he learned a thing or two in this game. I would not in any way, shape, or form be opposed to getting this guy in certain sub-packages. Maybe in some of these nickel and dime sub-packages, maybe bringing him in. I really think Dangerfield brings a lot more to the table than people realize. Does he give you some things that say Rob Golden maybe doesn't? Maybe. I mean, I know a lot of people like Rob Golden, and I know Golden's been on this team for a while, and he's kind of a leader, but, can Dangerfield give you a little more versatility there? I don't know. I think it's something Keith Butler should look at. That's all I'm saying. So, very impressive game for him. Chris, Mr. Mike Hilton. Maybe we should just induct him into the Pro Football Hall of Fame already. Just go ahead and send him to Canton. He just continues to make play after play after play. The hype train just won't stop for him. And I think in this game, he arguably makes the play that might have won the Steelers the game, that set up the touchdown pass to Justin Hunter on the following drive. So the Falcons are on their own 6-yard line. 3rd down and 12 in the fourth quarter. Really, really nice blitz here called by Keith Butler. And the entire play was designed for Mike Hilton. That's what was kind of cool about it. Ball snaps. Hilton's abandoned the slot. He abandons the slot receiver. Falcons running back pays more attention to the right side of the field where the Steelers are bringing pressure from. Hilton sneaks in there, just about brings Sims down to the ground for a safety. Sims slings it out at the last minute, so does avoid the safety. But, man, this guy just keeps making plays. And what just... I talked about it last week. The guy is 5'9", and the way that the Steelers use him around the line of scrimmage and how effective he is at the line of scrimmage blows my mind. I mean, I can't get over that he's this small and how he affects the line. It really is amazing to me. So I'll tell you where I'm at on Mike Hilton, folks. I have gone from he's got a good chance of making the roster to he's making the roster. At this point, the guy has had too good of an OTA, too good of a mini camp, too good of a training camp, and now too good of a preseason to not make this roster. When you make plays, you make rosters. I don't care that he's an undrafted free agent. The guy is making this roster at this point. What does that mean for Brian Allen? I don't think the Steelers need to let Brian Allen walk too far. I'd immediately throw him on the practice squad. Ross Cockrell's kind of on a one-year show-me deal. We all know William Gay's going to be gone probably at the end of this year. So we'll come back next season and reevaluate where we are with Brian Allen. But for that final 6 spot, you better lock up Mike Hilton. I think he needs to be the guy. So that's pretty much everything with the defense. Let's move now to the offense. Outside of the outstanding performance of James Conner, Chris, which we will get to here in a bit, that man had really did a lot of nice things. And a couple of other guys. The offensive performance in this game was as dry and boring as it could possibly get.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Todd Haley on this one. I felt like in this game, Haley's play calling didn't really have an end goal. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I felt like Haley's overall play calling in this game was sort of like, kind of like how you talk about the Redskins run game. You sort of are like, okay, Todd, where are you going with this? Yeah. What are you trying to do here? I thought a lot of the play calling was predictable. I thought a lot of it was nonsensical at times, which, by the way, Todd Haley, really quick, I need to have a word with you. The wide receiver wraparounds have got to stop. We've got to stop the wide receiver wraparounds. I just feel like in the year 2017, people don't really bite down on those. You know what I mean? I feel like defense is kind of art-fooled by the wide receiver wraparounds at this point. I think they know exactly what teams do. And
yeah, but sometimes, like, if you sell it enough over a certain space of time, you can give that look and do something else.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So maybe this is just his way of saying, look. I mean,
it could be a preseason experimental type of thing for him. But anyway, they haven't worked for us thus far this preseason. That's all I'll say. So going into the regular season, I hope Haley has been taking mental notes.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. A lot of run plays, which I really wasn't upset at. But when it came to the passing game, I was really disappointed. Outside of the Josh Dobbs to Martavis Bryant 23-yard hookup, I felt like Haley didn't dial up much of any passing plays. If you want to gauge how the Steelers' day looked offensively, look no further than the first 2 offensive drives. 2 quick 3-and-outs. The Steelers did not even get a first down, folks, until the 3rd offensive drive of the game. So lots of check down stuff, screen passes, another Todd Haley original, the screen pass. Just not a great passing attack on the day. And here's where I will somewhat defend Josh Dobbs. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way now. Dobbs didn't play a good game. The bad probably did outweigh the good. But in his defense, I don't feel like Todd Haley did him any favors in this game. That's just me. I don't think he dialed up a whole lot of decent pass plays for him. I don't think he called enough plays that would have gotten Dobbs comfortable early and got his confidence going. I felt like at times Dobbs was slightly held back by some of this play calling. Now, I'm not a Dobbs fan. Well, I like Josh Dobbs, but I'm not a total fanboy, so get that out of the way. Let's discuss the bad stuff. So I want to start with this because, A, I want to go ahead and get it out of the way because it's a really annoying conversation we're going to have again. And B, we do have a couple things we need to get out, like we do need to discuss. So clearly not a great day for Josh Dobbs. He goes 10 of 19 for 70 yards and an interception. He had some very poor throws. Accuracy and timing were off. Two examples I can think of right off the bat is he completely overthrows Justin Hunter on an inside slant. Later on, James Conner is wide open, just throws way over his head. And then the interception. This wasn't even a bad interception. Bad is putting it lightly. I'm not even going to say it was a rookie mistake. There is no way conceivable to defend this interception. The guy is getting, he gets flushed out of the pocket. He's scrambling. The guy is getting drugged to the ground, and as he's going to the ground, he slings the football in the air. No receiver in the general area whatsoever.
That was bad look.
It was as bad as it could possibly get. And I'd like to think that Mike Tomlin and Todd Haley are going to probably talk to him about that one, just be like, hey, don't do that again. But folks, here's the thing, and this is the second part of the Josh Dobbs conversation I want to have. Obviously, Twitter was ablaze. All the Steelers fans were ablaze. Here's the thing. I don't know what you people thought Josh Dobbs was. Every time Josh Dobbs throws a bad pass, every time he throws an interception, everybody goes crazy. And what I'm trying to figure out is, what did you think the guy was? Josh Dobbs was not a first-round draft pick. He was not a second-round draft pick. He was a fourth-round draft pick. And if you watch the tape at Tennessee, folks, I'll tell you what you saw. You saw a lot of good stuff, okay? You saw a good arm. You saw good scrambling. You saw some nice things, but I'll tell you what else you saw. You saw poor accuracy. You saw poor decisions, and you saw a lot of interceptions. Okay? There's a lot of bad stuff with Josh Dobbs. And you people, I feel like if everybody, the problem with Josh Dobbs right now is that the expectations are out of control. If everybody would rein in the expectations and remember that this guy is in utero, he is very much in development, he has a long way to go before he's ready to lead any kind of football team long term. If everybody would understand that, we wouldn't freak out every time the guy throws an incomplete pass.
Yeah,
it's frustrating, the reaction to this guy at this point.
Well, look, every NFL team, every NFL fan loves the backup quarterback. They just do.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? And
I like Josh Dobbs. I'm not trying to say I don't, but
no. But we all, a lot of people last year just really have oversold Sudfeld. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. It's just, look, Josh Dobbs, I'm not going to go back on what I said last week. I think that there are plenty of tools on the table that this guy possesses to develop him into a great NFL quarterback. I really think that can happen for Dobbs. But guys, we're a couple years off from that conversation. Yeah. And I just think before everybody loses their minds, everybody just needs to remember that about him, because I'm kind of tired of having this conversation at this point. And here's another way that I will defend Dobbs. I don't think there's any way to deny this. The offensive line didn't play well in this game, guys. Guys on the O-line didn't play great, and a lot of this came from some of the first-team guys. Obviously, the second-team guys, they made some errors, but a lot of the big mistakes, you had David DeCastro in there at times. Marcus Gilbert played. I don't think the pass protection was that great in this game. I don't think he had a lot of time to throw a lot. I felt like he was continually getting flushed out of the pocket, having to scramble. So I don't think the O-line did him any favors either. But anyway, that ends the bad stuff about the offense. Hopefully that ends the Josh Dobbs conversation for a while. Now let's talk about the good. Chris, we need to talk about James Conner. A really interesting game for James Conner because initially it's kind of cringeworthy. He comes out, drops 2 easy passes where he had yak if he just would have caught the football. So we're all thinking to ourselves, what a bad way to begin your NFL career. Very quickly changes the narrative after that. In the second half, has a field day running the football, breaks out runs of 20, 10, 17. And what got me is that it was how he ran the football in this game. Obviously ran with that aggressiveness and intensity that we all know when he played at the University of Pittsburgh, but I think he ran with a lot of smarts too. Waited for plays to open up, waited for blocks to be set. And I'll tell you something else, and this is something that I want to shed a lot of light on. James Conner has always kind of been thought of as, he's a really big-bodied back. He's really strong. He'll use his size to kind of, use the brute force to get through plays. Folks, James Conner has got a lot more burst and a lot more speed than people ever give him credit for.
Yep.
There were several times in this game where this guy had some great cuts, was very, very shifty, very light on his feet. I just think that's something people don't pay attention to enough. Finished the day with 20 carries for 98 yards, averaging 5 yards per carry. Had over 100 yards from scrimmage total. Not that we didn't already know it, but James Conner's going to be a beast, and it was really fun to just watch his NFL debut, watch him turn it around. Martavis Bryant, Chris, good to see number 10 back out there on that football field, man.
Yeah.
Only had 2 catches on the day. Todd Haley tried to get him involved early with none other than a wraparound play. That didn't work out very well, but he did have that one really nice catch for that big gain of 23 yards. I just thought it was vintage Martavis Bryant. Back shoulder throw, a little bit underthrown by Josh Dobbs. Bryant somehow makes this crazy adjustment to catch the football, keeps his feet in bounds. So that was really good to see. You can obviously see a little bit of rust with Martavis Bryant. He hasn't been in camp. He's still trying to get acclimated with the offense after a year off of football. But he does look good. I am excited about him. It's good to have him back. Next guy I kind of want to highlight is Justin Hunter. Made that really nice 7-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. Actually drug a defender into the end zone. And this is really what everybody's been saying about Justin Hunter in camp. The guy is a big red zone threat. So you have to imagine the Steelers, when the regular season comes, I think he's making the team at this point, no doubt. But have to imagine that the Steelers probably are going to use him in the red zone in a lot of situations in the regular season. And last but not least, let's talk about the special teams. Chris, so obviously Trey Williams is the hero of the game for most people because he has that 64-yard punt return. Right. It was exhilarating. It was fun. The dude turned the jets on. He had great upfield vision. But, man, I don't want to be that guy that rains on the parade. Trey Williams is not making this team. Now look, he was a very attractive prospect coming out of the University or Texas A&M, I believe. Right. There's a lot of good stuff on Trey Williams, but guys, he's not making this team.
Yeah, he was actually on the Redskins roster a couple of years ago. They signed him as an undrafted free agent.
Oh, okay.
And had him in camp for a little while.
Yeah.
He was a buzz.
Yeah.
Fast guy.
Very, very fast. Yeah. There's things to like there, but, man, when you look at the Steelers' running back situation right now, Le'Veon Bell's making the team. It's going to be James Conner's going to be making the team. Obviously, I think Niall Davis is probably going to make it over Tucson at this point. They're not keeping 4 running backs. Right. And I'm not even including Rosie Nix in that. I'm counting him as the fullback. The narrative has been, we found our punt returner. He did it. He's going to make the 53 as the punt returner. And I'm just here to tell you that he's not. It was a fun punt return. I was excited. I was jumping up and down. But no, he's not making the team. I just have to tell you guys that. And then, Chris, Jordan Berry. I think Jordan Berry might have been the MVP of this game. He had 7. He punted the ball 8 times on the day. 7 of his 8 punts landed within the 20-yard line with no touchbacks. His longest went 55 yards on the day. Solid day kicking from Jordan Berry. We all know that guy has a leg on him. And that pretty much does it for the actual game recap. In the way of injuries, there were 2 injuries in this game. We had Steven Johnson go down with a hamstring injury. The good news is that it was not a serious hamstring injury because he is going to practice this week. And then obviously the one that we all got really scared at, but now I guess everything's fine, was Javon Hargrave. Javon Hargrave left the game at the end of the first quarter with a concussion. However, they talked to Javon Hargrave yesterday, and he said, I don't have a concussion. He said, I was pulled out because, I might have been displaying some symptoms, but he said, I'm not experiencing symptoms now. He also said, I was never officially diagnosed with a concussion. So I guess we can all breathe a sigh of relief there. If I'm the Steelers, though, I'm not sure I'm playing him anymore at this point. Because, look, this, even though it wasn't officially a concussion, this is a guy who has already dealt with a concussion in his rookie year. So I think just out of safety, because of how valuable this guy is going to be in the regular season, I think the Steelers would probably be safe to not play him anymore in the preseason. So that pretty much does it for injuries. I guess now Le'Veon Bell, we can talk about him again. So Le'Veon Bell did indeed confirm that he was kind of like talking to this guy on Twitter, and he said, I'm not going anywhere unless they get rid of me. So, I mean, that's great and all. I think his actions kind of say a little bit otherwise, but, that is what that is. Ian Rappaport also had a report yesterday that said Bell was going to return to the team after the Steelers' third preseason game, which I didn't feel like was much of a report. I think it's all exactly what we thought was going to happen. He was going to, because look, the Steelers aren't playing starters fourth preseason game. No way they're doing that.
No.
So he misses the third preseason game, which is, by the way, when Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown will make their debut. He'll miss the third game, won't play the fourth game. Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly kind of what we all expected there. So not much of a report. Thank you anyway, rap sheet. And that pretty much does it for us. Chris, you boys?
Like I said, we came out surprisingly clean injury wise, but we did learn today, like I said, that Spencer Long had the knee surgery. He's out 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of chatter on Redskins Twitter about maybe looking into Nick Mangold, the former Jet center.
Hey, the Viking.
I don't have a problem with that at all if that was the direction they wanted to go, but I'm not sure they're going to necessarily run out tomorrow and sign him. I guess.
Is it necessary?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Here's what you don't want to end up in. If things begin to play out where Spencer Long may be out longer and you've got a rookie sitting there in Roulier, if he struggles, you don't have anybody else to really go to.
Right.
Or if he goes down, you're in serious trouble. So I think Mangold is an attractive option, but
he certainly got a lot of experience.
I mean he's a Pro Bowl caliber player.
Oh, sure.
It's just I'm not sure they need to run out the door and do that deal right now. But
no,
I wouldn't hate it if they did it. But if you're the flip side is if you're Mangold, you don't really have a future.
No,
with
no,
this
you
team,
don't. You really don't.
And you don't even know that. If Long comes back, you're even going to play that much.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it's going to happen, but it may be something to kind of watch. But other than that, we came out pretty clear.
Pretty clear, yeah. Same for us. Not a lot of big injuries. It was good to hear that Hargrave probably doesn't have a concussion. Steven Johnson's not going to be sidelined long. Outside of that, really no big injuries for us.
Yeah.
This upcoming preseason game against the Indianapolis Colts, this is going to be the big one we're all watching for. Ben Roethlisberger will make his debut. Antonio Brown will also make his debut. Bud Dupree, who has just strangely been absent, just not really doing anything in really training camp or preseason either.
Right.
All of us have been kind of scratching our heads going, hey, what's wrong with Bud Dupree? Apparently there is no injury. The Steelers, I guess, are just preserving him. I don't know. It's just been a strange thing with Bud Dupree, but he said that he is going to play in this upcoming game against Indianapolis, so it'd be fun to see him out there on the field. But Chris, I think that about does it for me. You?
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Remember, guys, follow us on Twitter. We are at Steelskin Show. You can follow us individually. I am at P_Garrison. Follow him at CGLSKSC. Remember to like the show on Facebook. It is facebook.com/Steelskin Show. iTunes, if you're listening on iTunes, be sure to rate, subscribe, or write a review. Tell us how we're doing. And YouTube, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel. Share the videos. Tell your friends. Tell everybody. Help your boys out. Support your boys. We do you a service here, Steelers and Redskins fans. Now it's your turn. No, seriously, you don't have to, but we actually really would appreciate it, though. For real, though. Okay, guys. Chris, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
All right, guys. Until next week, good night.